Have you ever heard of Nyi Roro Kidul, the Queen of the Southern Sea? But this isn't a story about people seeking wealth through dark rituals, or about the myths of people being dragged into the ocean. This is a story about a poor young fisherman who fell in love with the Queen of the Southern Sea. And the surprising part, his love was returned. His name was Arga. He lived in a small village on the southern coast. His life was very simple. His father had disappeared at sea when Arga was just a child, and now he lived alone with his ailing mother. Every day, Arga went out to the sea with an old wooden boat that used to belong to his father. The net was full of holes, and most of the time his catch was only enough to get by for the day. Sometimes it wasn't even enough. But there was something about Arga that made the villagers curious. Every evening, after fishing, Arga would sit alone by the shore, staring out at the sea in silence, as if he was waiting for someone. One evening, the sky was dark with heavy clouds, the wind was blowing strong, and the waves were growing higher. The villagers had already gone back into their homes, but Arga stayed there, sitting quietly, watching the sea. Suddenly, his eyes caught something, a woman's figure floating helplessly amidst the waves. She wore green, her long hair was flowing, and her body was weak. Arga stood up immediately. Without thinking twice, he ran into the water, swimming as hard as he could towards her. The waves tried to pull him down, but Arga didn't care. Finally, with what little strength he had left, Arga managed to pull the woman back to the shore. He was gasping for air, his heart pounding in his chest. As he checked if the woman was still breathing, suddenly she opened her eyes and smiled. "Thank you, Arga. You saved me," the woman said softly, her voice gentle yet deep, as if it echoed through his heart. Arga froze. He had never told her his name. Who was she? How did she know him? He looked at her face. Beautiful, but her gaze was full of mystery. "Who are you? Why were you out there in the sea alone? It's dangerous," Arga asked, confused. The woman smiled faintly. "My name is Roro. I've been watching you from afar, Arga. You always stare at the sea, don't you?" Finally, with what little strength he had left, Arga managed to pull the woman back to the shore. He was gasping for air, his heart pounding in his chest. As he checked if the woman was still breathing, suddenly she opened her eyes and smiled. "Thank you, Arga. You saved me," the woman said softly, her voice gentle yet deep, as if it echoed through his heart. Arga froze. He had never told her his name. Who was she? How did she know him? He looked at her face. Beautiful, but her gaze was full of mystery. "Who are you? Why were you out there in the sea alone? It's dangerous," Arga asked, confused. The woman smiled faintly. "My name is Roro. I've been watching you from afar, Arga. You always stare at the sea, don't you?" From that day on, Arga's life changed. Roro appeared often. Sometimes she would sit on a rock by the shore. Sometimes she would suddenly appear near his boat when he returned from fishing. They talked about many things, about the sea, about Arga's dreams, and even about simple things. Day by day, Arga felt more attached to Roro. He felt like only Roro truly understood him. "Roro, sometimes I feel like the sea isn't just water and waves, it's alive. The sea has feelings," Arga said one afternoon. Roro smiled softly. "You're sensitive, Arga. The sea is alive. And you've touched its heart." But as their meetings became more frequent, Arga began to sense something odd. Roro knew too much about him. She knew about Arga's strange dreams, about his childhood memories that even Arga himself rarely remembered. She knew about his father, about the sadness Arga had been carrying alone all these years, until one day, Arga finally asked, "Roro, who are you really? I'm not dreaming, am I? You're real, right?" Roro lowered her head, her smile faint, as if she was holding something back. "I want to tell you, Arga, but you must promise me, no matter what you hear, you won't hate me," she said softly. Arga nodded. Roro took a deep breath. "My name is Nyi Roro Kidul. I am the queen of the southern sea." Arga froze. A name he had only heard from old folks' tales, the figure they said could drag people into the ocean. But now, she was right in front of him, looking at him with genuine emotion, not as a queen, but as a lonely woman. "I'm tired, Arga, tired of the palace life, tired of always being seen as a perfect goddess. I just wanted to know what it feels like to be loved as an ordinary woman," Roro said, her voice trembling. Arga looked into her eyes in silence. Then, with a firm voice, he said, "I don't care who you are, a queen, a goddess, or anything else. All I know is, I'm happy when you're here." Roro closed her eyes, holding back her emotions, but after a moment, she opened them and looked at Arga with a meaningful gaze. "If you truly love me, Arga, you must be ready to lose everything. The human world, or come with me to the depths of the sea." Arga's blood rushed. The waves roared, the wind howled, as if they were intensifying the tension. The choice was spoken so simply, yet the weight was enormous. If he chose Roro, he would have to leave his mother, his village, everything he knew. But if he chose to stay on land, he knew he would lose Roro forever. Arga lowered his head, thinking deeply. Then he looked into Roro's eyes, a gaze that was honest, sincere, and full of conviction. "I can't leave my mother, Roro. She only has me," Arga said, truthfully. Roro smiled faintly, but there was pain in her eyes. "I understand, Arga. I won't force you, but tonight will be our last meeting." Arga said nothing. No words came out of his mouth. His heart felt heavy, suffocated. Roro slowly stepped back, walking towards the sea. The waves embraced her, as if she was part of them, but before her body vanished beneath the waves, she turned around and looked at Arga. "Arga, you have touched the heart of the sea, and the sea will never forget you." In an instant, Roro disappeared, merging with the vast, mysterious ocean. From that night on, Roro never appeared again. But something had changed. Every time Arga went out to fish, his nets were always full. His boat never capsized, even during the worst storms. The villagers began to notice this blessing. They said Arga was protected by the Queen of the Southern Sea. As for Arga, he continued his life as usual. He still sat by the shore during sunset, staring at the sea, whispering in his heart, "I know you're out there, Roro. I know you're still watching me." Because love sometimes doesn't mean possession. Sometimes love is simply knowing they're always there,